All right. Thank you for that. Okay. So the lunch hour holds every Thursday by 1 p.m. And I'm happy that you can all make it. We are live on all of our platforms. We are here on Zoom. We're also streaming on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn accounts. And so wherever we have a social media account, you can just join from wherever you are. And it's an exciting opportunity that we can do this and that I can have you here sharing this knowledge sharing session with me. So just by way of introduction and reminders on what we have going, my name is Paul Erubami, MD of Max-Migold Limited. This is a channel where we bring you worthy knowledge, competency improvement for personal development, for career advancement on a weekly basis, completely free. Every time we have a session, the sessions are recorded and saved on all of our channels. So if you're good with Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, you can revisit our content again and refresh yourself. All the topics we've run for the last year or so are all available for you to revisit and learn from. Just this morning, due to the situation of the country and popular demand from those who are interested in taking the FM Mastercraft Diploma, we made a decision to announce, an extension of our resumption dates. So I know some of us who have been eager to start classes on August 19 will be a bit disappointed, but want to have more people take advantage of this FM diploma. So the class resumption is now going to be on September 9th. So please, we enjoin everyone who has anyone who's interested or you're interested yourself to please sign up. This is the time. Our flexible payment options are still on the table, where you can pay over 2, 3, or 6 months in an automated payment system that makes it easy for you to cope with the bill. But if you want a discount up to 10% right now for full payments, you can take that opportunity to pay now and get that 10% discount. Okay. All of our courses that we take on these sessions, that we take on our Giving Back series, are all available in the learning management system, portal.facilitymanagementcourses.com.ng, portal.facilitymanagementcourses.com.ng. If you go to facilitymanagementcourses.com, you will see the whole layout of all of our courses. And then you can buy any of these, courses for very little amounts, go through the content and acquire the certificates for your to boost your professional standing and your resume. Okay, and most importantly, be able to act, think, and say things differently, showing that you have matured, you've advanced, you've increased in wisdom from the learning that you are acquiring from these systems you participate in. Today we are looking at developing new managers. And we've been talking a little bit, about manager. We've done manager management. We've done onboarding new managers. We've done, different things about managers and how to become better at management. Facility management is one profession where, from the day you were admitted or given a job, you are automatically a manager, because management is your profession, right? So you're not like every other person, maybe an accountant, software developer, engineer, or somebody in any other field, who have to work after a while, be considered for management and be taken into management. From the day you start your career as a facility manager, you started in management. And so it's very important that we look at the critical importance or the critical relevance of getting the right management in place for our organization. Organizations cannot succeed unless they have people who are skilled in management positions, acting as managers. Okay, because it's not something that just happens. It's not something that you can wish that because somebody has been good at what he's doing, or he's been a very good accountant, I'm sure he will be able to manage the accounting team. He's been very diligent. He's been very focused, very punctual, very customer centric. Very supportive of others, and so on and so forth. These are things that means he's doing his job well. And then one day you decide this person should become a manager. A manager who now has to not only do that his job, but also manage people who have to do their job, where his success is no longer dependent on what he does for himself, but now dependent also on what others do, in the organization. So preparing for that state of being an effective manager, we're going to discuss some strategies, and then we're going to talk about the importance as an organizational leader, whether you're head of a department, HRO, senior management directors, being able to develop a track. A track is a system of progression within the organization. So people know that when they are here, they can become that and become that and become that, right? So along that track, what are the changes, that will be required? What core competencies must you acquire, and how will your role, change? Sometimes you're doing something that you still need to be doing while becoming a manager, right? Of course, they'll pay you more and other things will come with the new progression. But now you now have a secondary role added to you, which in most cases is your primary role, because everybody see you as manager of cleaners, manager of maintenance crews, manager of vendors, manager of resources and assets, and so on and so forth. Once you assume that additional responsibility, you cannot stop being good at what you used to do, right? Because it is that being good at what you used to do that got you to that point in the first place, whether you're brought in from outside or you are promoted from inside. But then you are now being evaluated to a very large extent on your ability to manage others and get them to deliver results as expected by the organization. So we're going to look at how that track works, determine core roles and competencies for managers, understand the importance of continuous development for managers. So even if today you are a good manager, you're not going to just stop there. You want to become a manager of managers, and so on and so forth. So what kind of improvement do you need to make? So basically, managers are born, are made rather, not born. What this means is that you don't expect certain people to innately or intrinsically be managers, that they don't need to learn management, right? So that is a myth. Management can be learned. And interestingly, everyone can learn the skills to become better managers. Now, this doesn't mean that they are not aspects of our traits, our personality, our character, our cultural upbringing, and all kinds of pre-conditioning or programming that we have that make up who we are, that will not have an impact on how well we can learn the skill, how quickly we can learn the skill of management. There are people that are very good at, learning new skills when it's about them doing it. But they may struggle with learning new skills about getting others to do it, which is management, right? So there's a difference, but the point is, everyone will need to go through a learning curve, a process of learning to become good managers. So if you were not a manager before, and you now aspire to become a manager, the expectation is that you have the desire to learn what it takes to be managers, right? So don't suddenly become managers and start struggling to get things done. Start struggling to pull your team together, or start struggling to get results, right? So you need to learn the skills. There are specific skills that you need to acquire to become a proper manager. So the point is, don't wait until that dream promotion or until you win the job, in an interview to become a manager of one or the other people, assets, resources, whatever. Learn to become managers before you even become a manager. In essence, prepare ahead. Successful managers requires complex, interconnected set of skills. Time management is one of the key skills. Like I said before, you will still be doing the things that your profession requires. Facility managers will still be doing inspections and doing all of the things that are FM, right? While at the same time, getting others to do it. So being able to schedule your time between your doing and getting others to do requires time management. Then people management. Now it gets more complicated because human beings are different. In your work environment, you're going to encounter all kinds of people, right? And then the tricky part here is whatever you have learned about management from books and from mentors and from teachers, like what we are doing now, you cannot apply it hook, line, and sinker with every individual that you will be made to manage. That's the tricky part. You cannot just assume that once I become learn about management, I'll just start rolling out, the processes, the rules, the tools, the way management works, and I'll apply it every time I meet somebody new. You will have to, with experience and maturity and more learning, find ways to vary it, because you're going to spend some time knowing the kind of person you are managing, right? And there are maturity levels of, employees that you're going to encounter. Your approach, your strategy, your interaction, your response will be different. So that is a complication. People management is a major complication. So when you hear people don't do what you ask them to do, when they don't stay consistent with delivering results, when they allow issues to crop up, they are not being proactive. No matter what you say will make them more proactive, and so on and so forth. Don't let it be them. They are not always all the problem. Most of the problem is with you. You are not supposed to apply a final set in stone templates on everybody. So what works for Mr. A may not work for Mr. B, right? So people management is a major requirement there. Interpersonal skills, of course, that's tied to people management. You have to be liked to be a good manager. All right. So your ability to communicate, openly and freely, and listen to receive what's in the mind of whoever you are trying to manage. Your ability to make connections is very key to be a good manager. So that's why many people nowadays are not even looking for corporate ladder anymore to climb, because the complications just get worse as you get higher and higher. So they want to just be in a quiet place in their home and do some gigs on their computer and get paid online, and then they are fine, because that way you don't have to do management. You just take an order and you deliver. But FM job is not like that. FM job is not like, in fact, from day one in entering the profession, you are automatically in management and you must manage. So if you are in it, you have to find a way to learn all of these skills we're talking about. And then there are industry-specific skills, right? Whatever industry you find yourself. I've talked about FM because that's our own industry. All right. So it doesn't just happen that because you've been made a manager, you suddenly know how to manage, right? No, it doesn't just happen like that. There are some people that they can only think for themselves. They can't think for others. There are some that when others act irrationally, by omission or by commission, they are confused. They don't know how to respond. They don't even know how to approach their subordinates to say, this, And if you experience failure 1, 2, 3 times with people you're managing, and you still don't know how to set up a system of follow-up and reminders, I can wake up in the night and make notes on what to follow up on certain people. I know that these people, they will naturally forget themselves, or they deliberately forget because they know that when they say I forgot, I'm not going to kill you, right? I'll make notes on reminders I need to set. So I'll set Mr. A, Mrs. A, or Miss A, this and this that you are working on. What's the update? What are you doing? Who are you following up with? How are you doing this? If I ask those questions, that person knows I am keeping tabs. Whereas there are others that once we discuss it in a meeting and the action is set, boom, they just go ahead and get it done. If it crossed my mind to remind them or to prompt them, it will just be, once in a blue moon, I just feel like, I have the opportunity. I would see it as a burden because I know that person's level of maturity, another person's personality. I know the history of that person's delivering to task. I won't even bother, right? So I'm applying 2 different rules to 2 different people. At the end of the day, I want to get the results that is good, that is desirable, right? So the skills of managing people have to be customizable from your mind as a manager. So that talk of were they not all there when we said the thing, we all agreed, everybody went and half did it right and the other half decided to work opposite or did not do this or do that. You are just complaining, my dear, you're just complaining. There should be something in you that prompted you to say, do extra, because your job no longer is doing just your job. Your job is doing your job and doing their job. Even though I'm not going to do their job hands-on, I must make sure they do it. That's where management comes in. Okay, so that's where if it doesn't come to you naturally, you need to practice over time how to be a good manager, and it takes learning. It takes being able to speak in a way that people will listen and understand clearly, being able to listen and understand what's in the mind of people. This is very key. You must invest some time into that process, learning. Sometimes it could be by learning from mistakes. You slept on the wheel, something goes wrong, and you take some people don't even mind that things go wrong, because they find it comfortable or easy to say, oh, it's not my fault. It's my subordinate that didn't give me that information. I didn't get this data on time. This one didn't submit on time. Look, whatever the issue, however cogent the excuses for failure from those you are managing is, you are the one that's failing. You have to understand that first, when it comes to management and building management skills. You are the ones that's failing. So for you not to be failing, you need to develop a careful process of having your focus on success, and then splitting that focus down the line to see who are the bottlenecks, who are the people that will likely mess things up, right? Who are those that will always hold their end, tight, no matter the circumstances they find themselves, they'll always get things done. What is my plan on managing those who will do it no matter what, and managing those who will look for the slightest opportunity to allow things to crack, right? I have to have a different strategy for each of them, and that's where management comes in. So one of the most important things you can do to develop managers is to create a clear path to management position. Whether people are just fresh from school, just got into your organization, and you are giving them tasks to perform. Some of us like this, when they get to work, they define what everybody would do. They just tell everybody, do this, do that, do that. And once you tell them, do this, do this, do that, they will do it, report back, thumbs up, tomorrow again. And when you get into that mode where you are always dividing work, taking the piece of work, and you are the only one that knows the end from the beginning, piecing everybody's contributions to make the final result, you are not building managers. The way to build managers is to develop them with management skills early. early. Start challenging people to learn the skills. Start sharing management tasks. Start giving knowledge, give opportunity for people to stand in for you, for example, and do certain things, take certain decisions, come and tell you what they have done. It helps you to build that sense of management in people, right? So if you have a number of employees and people in your team, and where you are standing right now, you cannot immediately decide. If somebody asks, maybe you work with a team for 6 months, 1 year, and you can't still immediately say, if I wasn't there tomorrow, Mr. A or Mrs. A will be the one to step in. I believe they will take decisions and act in ways that will be in the best interest of this team, right? You would have failed if 1 year into working with a group, you still don't have that kind of clarity, right? That is something you want to avoid. Doesn't matter the gap. There are some organizations where you have a facility director, general manager level, or director level is very high up there. And then he's the only one in strategic position, right? With certain privileges within the company. And then below him, the person that reports to him is a supervisor that is just like a technician, not very, very learned. You're still, using them to track work orders and, check on things and fill forms for you so you can take all decisions on your own. Now, if you are in that kind of situation where you have that kind of huge gap between your level of education, training experience, and your subordinates being at a very, very low level, you have to start immediately to bring that person up. Because to be honest with you, experience trumps educational qualification when it comes to management. If that person is now good at what he or she does, and you start bringing that person to the level where you can now start discussing some strategic reports, certain data you need for top management and getting their inputs, discussing decisions with them over time. Over time, they will begin to get a sense that they are being elevated, right? And then when you are off for a day, you put out a note and say, everything that I'm supposed to decide on, please get back to Mr. Fatai. He's the one that is going to act on it and blah, blah, blah. That person begins to feel a sense of empowerment, That's where it starts from. So it's not just enough to write people off and say, this one, their level is too low, right? Because their level is too low, I become indispensable. I become the only person that can do certain things within the organization. That is not in the best interest of the organization, all right? It can become a very, very dangerous thing for the organization over time if we operate like that. So a clear track, clear management track provides employees with a guide for the skills, experiences, and professional development they will need in order to become managers. So if you have an organogram that shows where each person is, each person knows where they are, right? They know who is above them, they know who is above that person. Regular orientation or a typical orientation program should help them understand what's the difference between them and the level above them, and the difference between that level and the level above it. So it helps them to start thinking, about a future that includes being elevated, right? And we often have this issue or this problem where some people feel at a certain point in their career, they should be elevated. But they are looking at the coin from one side only. If you think that because you spent 10 years as an assistant manager, you should become a manager just on account of how many years you have spent on that subordinate level, that is not a valid premise for that expectation. In those 10 years, what have you learned about the manager's position, his roles, his knowledge, his abilities, his experience, his education. And what have you done to be him, right? To acquire, those knowledge, skills, abilities, qualifications, and experience. What have you done? What are you doing so that you can become the next manager? Don't just expect it, work towards it, okay? And then the essence of this lesson today is, we're not really focusing on the individual who is, aspiring to be managers, or somebody who has been interviewed for management position or being promoted. No, we're talking to those who are in management position today, who should have the responsibility to elevate others, right? Train them, give them the right tools to become effective managers. Somebody that just became a clinic supervisor, for example, probably will have issues here and there with the team and come to you. And if you're only just dishing out solutions, asking the person, go and try this, go and try that, that person probably will not learn the right skills to become a manager. You would probably need to spend some time giving the person some things to go and learn, come and give you feedback of the skills they have learned, while studying or taking certain courses or going through some materials you will share with them. They become better and better with the knowledge. They would learn the principles, right? So they begin to apply it. You begin to see the way they apply it. When they come back with issues, it will be easy for you to ask questions on what they think based on what they have learned, because you pointed them in the right direction for learning to become managers. So, and again, I'll flip to the other side of the coin. If you are being prepared for management, put in efforts to learn what you should be learning to become a good manager. And don't wait until somebody has spent a certain number of years. I know some organizations where they say, oh, you must have a master's degree, you must have this, you must have that, you must have spent so number of years in so and so position before you can become a manager. Somebody can learn management within 2 years of being on the job. Some come into a job straight from NYC, straight from the OND they have done, and they already have an open mind to learn, and they're already studying, they're already picking up skills, they're already becoming analytical, they're becoming very good at interpersonal skills, they are well organized, they're supportive to our colleagues. You will see that these people are already developing themselves to become managers. Don't wait until they have done 10 years or 20 years before you say this person should manage. And in some cases, you might have to take someone who is younger on the role, right, and make him manager because he has acquired management competence more than someone who has been there. Someone who has been there for 10 years and is just doing yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, and not developing himself. And you have not done anything to develop that person to become a good manager. If you make that person manager, that person is only going to create problems. There are so many teams that productivity just collapses. Everything they used to do well just goes tanks because a certain person was made manager. People who are ill-equipped as managers, they don't care about interpersonal relationship, they don't care about processes, they don't care about time management, they don't care about all of those things. They only care about their ego. It is my turn, it's what drives them. And when they become managers, they become how do I put it? They begin to witch hunt anybody else who threatens them in that status battle, and that can become a big problem. Okay, but then there's a little bit of a trick when you know someone lower has better management skills. If maybe you try to prepare like 2 or 3 people, you give them equal opportunities to learn the skills, competencies, early on as they came in, to become managers. And someone who is much younger responded better and became good at what he's doing. Now you know that this person will be a better manager. You don't want to put the person who is more senior, who will not be a good manager, right? So what do? You have to decide, make some very difficult decisions. Sometimes if the way up is the only way and you refuse to prepare yourself for up, I will have to give you an exit. It's tough, but it needs to be defined early so that I don't destroy the team, I don't kill productivity. I won't want the wrong person to be made manager when that is going to affect productivity of that team. Okay, so let's think about that. And then for management, there are skills for effective management which can be learned, right? If you aspire to become a manager and you don't know the skills that you need to learn, you will not learn them. So what are some of the skills? How can you, even if you know that, there's a gap between you and the person above you, there are certain skills you need to learn, as you work, as you gain experience, before you can now say, I am ready for that person's position. And these are skills that help to demonstrate competencies, demonstrate your competencies with some of the things we've talked about, how to manage people, how to manage resources, how to manage time, and so on and so forth. And for certain organizations and certain industry, you need to have certain skills that are specific, to that industry. If you are in FM, for example, having a good customer focus, having a sense of care, duty of care for your customers is a very big skill for managers. So that's a specific thing that we need to learn. Safety, for example, is a very big skill, because you cannot climb when certain escalations or certain mistakes or slips create scandals or issues for you in that position. You will crash back, right? So before you can become that manager, you must identify what are the skills, what are the competencies I must acquire, in addition to the people management skills, the interpersonal skills, time management that we talked about. And if you are the manager trying to develop other managers, then you must make yourself available as a coach, as a trainer, right? And then provide opportunities for people under you to assume responsibility, to act in ways that's above what they would normally act upon in their pay grade. Every now and then, give them a chance to, apart from the training, to act, to take decisions, to do things that can show, more like you are testing them after you have trained and show them the way, right? They need to practicalize what they are learning by being put in situations where they have to take decisions and act as managers themselves. And doesn't really necessarily mean that you have to be away to give your team the opportunity to act, those under you. You don't have to be away. You can be in the office and drive actions or decisions towards a certain person you are preparing to become the next manager under you, or even replacing you when you move up. Managers learn by being managed well. Okay, so it's not enough to just learn by textbooks or by going through training and courses and the rest. The experience that you get from your manager, the experience of willingness to talk to you, willingness to listen to you, openness with information and materials, the way it probes you for suggestions and ideas, the way it helps you to see, analyze your options, and guide you without micromanaging you. Those are the kind of experiences that give you the best training as a manager. Okay, so it's important that we have that hand holding in the process of developing new managers. Somebody is so good in cleaning. It's very good in cleaning. He can train other cleaners. It's very efficient, and so on and so forth. And then I make him the manager or the supervisor of all the cleaners. I can't just leave him to himself and say, this guy is good. He has proven that he's good. No, I need to become a mentor. And if I have so many people in my team, I'll create a system where one person is mentoring another person, preparing that person to become a manager. In very large organizations, HR will have a system where People are brought in batches. 50 people, 100 people are brought in at once. And then they are given different roles and they are observed. And a few people act in ways that management says, this, put them on the management track from this batch, right? And then you see the kind of transfers that take place within the organization to give them exposure across multiple departments and units to help them understand the organization better. Because when you become a manager, you will see things from a bird's eye view. Your scope is expanded, your vision is expanded. It's no longer that small area you were brought in to act on. So once you've been identified like that, they begin to move you around. After a while, you become a manager of a certain group. Now, you are managing that group, you have a full visibility of what's happening in that group, but you also have a sense of the bigger picture. You know how your team, the puzzle, how your team fits in the puzzle of the overall results the organization is trying to achieve. So mentoring, identifying talent early, preparing them with the right resources and access to information that helps them to take the actions to move towards being management. Being in management is very important, because it's one thing to create a training platform, set up a mentoring program, coach them one-on-one. It's another thing for them to also reciprocate and say, yes, I think I'm feeling confident that this is working. I will comply. I will act in ways that fosters that, reinforces that idea that I'm good for this and I want to be, because you have to want to be a manager, for that to happen. So even if I'm your manager and I'm doing everything to prepare you for management, and you don't want to be a manager, which is possible, right? I need to identify that on time, and either find out and change your mind, so you can start working towards it, or drop you and get someone else to prepare to become a manager. Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure there's continuity. It's for the greater good. I need to make sure there's continuity. I don't want to be the only person who can do everything when it comes to management. There should be others who are preparing to replace me if I'm not available tomorrow. One surest way to promote and reinforce effective quality management is to reward effective managers. Recognizing and rewarding those managers who demonstrate skills and competencies valued by the organization reinforces that good management itself is valued. When employees at all levels see effective managers being recognized and rewarded, they themselves aspire to demonstrate the same traits they see from those individuals. Okay, so depending on your company culture, rewards for effective managers can be financial, like raises, incentives, promotions, vacation time, all kinds of incentives, but make sure it fits the kind of people that you have in the organization. The idea here is, let good management be rewarded and recognized so that others would aspire to become managers. If you ever find yourself in situations where when you're looking for somebody to lead a team, to do something for everyone, and nobody's volunteering, then think back and ask if people who have put their foot forward in the past have been rewarded, have been recognized. Okay, so this is very important to set the right tone for aspiration or ambition of those who are within the organization to look up to look forward to, because they have to be models. Okay, effective management is something that is modeled. As you are being effective, others are seeing it and they're also trying to move up and become good managers. Now, there are processes in every organization. Some organizations have their processes in their head. So when somebody becomes the manager, he understands the culture, he knows what the bosses need, he takes decisions in a particular way that brings the results the organization want, but he never documented those processes. When you get a new manager, a new general manager, director, he acts in his own way to bring results, he's committed, and so on and so forth. But that makes the organization dependent on the personality and style, of each person that takes those positions. The best practice will be to have a company agreed procedure for management, right? So that you would document what works And then a manager steps into that position, sees the processes and procedures that have been put in place, implements them. Now, when he sees, maybe a new crop of employees, their way of doing things is not bringing the results we used to have, and he needs to make changes to align with his assessment of the maturity level of those employees, we'll not just do those changes. We'll take the processes on ground, review them, and think of ways, work with the team to make adjustments, right? Once those adjustments are made and tested on the field, the team works in that with that approach, and they see it's giving results. They document it now as the new best practice, as the way of doing things. So we can keep improving. We can keep improving, but we must keep documenting the changes and the improvement that works for us, so that it's not the case of one man in position is the one that makes things work. If it's not there, things will not work anymore, or things will go south in terms of results that we get. A key component to developing managers is providing them with the tools they need in order to be successful. And basic things we talk about in tools include your tools to get the job done, your laptop, your internet provision, your communication tools and the rest. But you also need your processes and procedure tools, right? If they were not there, and you have to create, from your ideas and your experience, how things are done, document them. All right. It gives a sense of structure. I know many people go to some jobs and say, oh, they just made me manager, and there's no structure, there's no process for doing this, there's no process for doing that, and they will blame you for not doing things well, right? Yes, they will blame you. If you are brought into an environment where there are no structure and the things are not, documented in manuals and no policy documents, start now. Start now. Don't complain for 2-3 years, and when you are leaving, the person that comes in still meets no structure and no process or procedures in place, right? So this is the whole thing about management. Management works with processes. If it's in your head, it means there's no structure. If you have documented it, know how poor, no matter how poor those processes look, where you have documented it, that we can now see the way we do things, that we can now improve it based on what we have documented, and improve those documentation and refine those documentation and change and improve how we do things for, to make them better over time. Then we say there is a structure, okay? We also need to empower new managers. If any manager feels as though they have to have every decision or action signed off on or approved by someone higher up, the manager's growth and development, will not be is not being emphasized or not being acted on. Managers have to have a sense of what they can control. So if I make you a manager, I want you to be able to control, certain things at a certain level. If everything that you want to do, you cannot just act on anything, you are not yet a manager, because I give you the title, but I'm not giving you the empowerment that goes with that title. For some, it's even very serious, to the point where they will see a problem. They have an idea of what solution can solve the problem, but they cannot act because they need approval for their thoughts to be sanctioned before they would be able to act, and that can be devastating, right? So let's not be in such a situation. Provide support. Those new to management may be hesitant to take action, or maybe nervous about exerting authority. There's people that will be in a position for 6 months, 1 year, and they've not taken any major decision themselves, even though you have empowered them. You've told them, when this happens, you are free to act. Just explain to me what your rationale is and move on, right? They still won't take action. So you need to have a support mechanism where instead of them coming with the questions, you ask them to come with the questions and the alternate answers. Every time somebody comes to you with, what should I do? Ask the person back, what are your thoughts about it? You have not only empowered the person, you are now nurturing and supporting the person to act and take decisions. And you can extend this to the blame or punishment side. There are some things that are mistakes. There are some things that are not wasn't deliberate. They didn't deliberately break things. They didn't deliberately make things go bad, right? they did not also have indecision or lack of decision, or deciding without analysis. For example, if you take a rash decision without analysis, that is not excusable. But if somebody thinks through and takes action and acts, and it does not give you the result that you expect, though you can't punish for that. You can show support, understanding, and this gives impetus for empowerment when they know that you are not going to pound and hit and punish for not getting the results, because they acted using the authority they've been given. They analyzed, they had a reason for doing the things they did. Thumbs up. But let's review your decision process. Tell me how you arrived at this decision. Tell me the steps you took to act, and let's see how the result could have been different. That kind of conversation will make them better forever in taking better decisions. And then training and development opportunities. Nowadays, training is something that is, should be easy. Everybody should have access to training. If you don't want to pay for a formal training that takes you to institutions, come to Max-Migold, for example, and take a training, you can also take training online. There are paid and free training available online. You just need to decide what you want to learn, make a list of things you want to learn, and start searching. You have a lot of opportunities, right? And then if you are, sizable enough in number in the organization, create opportunity for cross-training and hybridization of ideas. One person talks, the next person listens, the next person talks, and the farmer who was talking now listening. And then also encourage peer networking. People should exchange ideas, within the organization. And this is not restricted to your core skills. Okay, so let's electricians, discuss and be brainstorming. That's not all we're talking about. It should be across the organization. Somebody who is into AutoCAD design for the organization, for example, might be saying something that would be, strange to somebody who is basically into catering in the organization, right? But in that conversation, both of them are receiving a bigger picture of the organization. So the organization has people drawings on one side and people providing food on another side. These are two pieces of the puzzle, right? They're getting better understanding. They're being able to exchange ideas. That networking alone helps them to get to know each other and learn from each other, as they work in the same organization. And then in the organization, you will find some people who are very versed in certain things. Informally, people get to know and they go to them, to tap into this expertise that is theirs, as it were. You can tap into that as well and make a network of subject matter experts within the organization, where formally you designate them and get people to go ask questions when they have issues, instead of coming to you. Go and ask David whenever you have issues about so and so thing, right? You are giving validity to that person's status as a potential manager. Okay, talk about mentorship and coaching relationship. They're very helpful when building managers. And then don't leave managers to their own devices. Regular check-in is very important. The more frequent the feedback, the higher the rate of improvement will happen. So somebody might show good decision making in certain instances, but you can't leave the person alone all through and say, person has proved to me that he or she can do this. I don't have any concern. No, regular check-ins are very helpful. Okay. We talked also about identifying individuals early. I could be doing interviews for a startup role, and I've seen leadership, I've seen managerial qualities in the person, but I would not just rush to say, no, that role you apply for is too low. I'm going to put you up. No, I will still allow you to come and prove yourself in that low role, right? And then while you are doing it, and I'm seeing your diligence, the way you are consistently following processes, and the way you are bringing up initiatives and innovation, I'm also going to be pointing you to certain resources, trying your hands on certain tasks that shows that you are being given things to be done that are higher than your pay grade. And for those of you who are listening to me, don't see somebody trying to load you with a task above your pay grade as trying to use you. This is one mentality that has really put some people down. They just tell themselves, oh, I'm being used, and they're asking me to do this and do that. I can't do it. How much are they paying me even? Why would they expect me? The moment you have that mindset, you have defeated yourself mentally. Your career is doomed. But on the other hand, don't be in a slavish environment forever. There has to be something you are learning while you are doing so well that gives you confidence that you are now going to be a good manager. So after a few years, if you don't get the opportunities to become a manager in that organization, look out. It's a straightforward thing. But don't kill your career by resisting the opportunity to have vertical loading of your responsibilities that will give you managerial experience. So don't be selfish with your skills and your abilities just because you think that somebody's going to use you and dump you. Nobody can use you and dump you. Every time you are doing that extra, learning harder, working deeply, reinforcing yourself, you are documenting your progress. If you feel dumped, it's because you wasted the opportunity. You worked and worked and worked, and you didn't see anything you are getting out of it because you didn't document skills you are learning. You didn't document your decisions you have made and results you've been getting on that job. And then you cannot represent yourself when you are now in front of other employers who will appreciate your achievements in that place where you are coming from. Then you've done that to yourself, not whoever gave you the opportunity. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop here. There are so many things to talk about management, and we're going to have more sessions to cover them. But if you are interested in taking this course on our learning management portal, just go to facilitymanagementcourses.com, scroll through the courses that we have there, and register for anyone, and you'll be directed to the learning management system. It's not very expensive. I'm sure this one is about 22 or 23,000, so it's very cheap that anybody can acquire. Okay, I have a few minutes I've left out for people to ask questions. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. I recognize you to ask. Okay. And if you have questions that you want to ask, after now, you can put it out on our WhatsApp channel. We have a WhatsApp platform, Max-Migold Facility Management Training platform. You can ask questions. You can even ask the questions on the alumni, the FMMC alumni, if you're one of our alumni, and we can answer them for you there. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms so you can get regular updates on our content and the things we are putting out. Yeah, somebody's asking how you can join a WhatsApp group. That's from Dara Abelt. Let's see. Is there a Max-Migold team member that can put out the link to join the WhatsApp group on the chat here so that Albert can join? So Albert, I'm sure you will get a link on the chat in a moment to join the WhatsApp group, and we'll put out valuable contents and materials and opportunities there as well on a regular basis. Samuel, you have a question? You can unmute and ask. Abdul Samuel. Let me see. I hope you can unmute. Yes, you can unmute. Akin or Ella or whoever is on this call from Max-Migold, can you put in the WhatsApp and Telegram joining link. We also have a Facebook page. You can join our Facebook group, rather. Okay, yes, I'm seeing the WhatsApp link. So how about you can click on that link and request to be admitted into the WhatsApp group. Please, if you join the WhatsApp group or the Telegram group, do not post, all of those pleasantries we throw around on social media. It's strictly for facilities management opportunities and training and resources. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for being on today's lunch hour. I look forward to seeing you again next week, Thursday. If you want to connect with me, go on LinkedIn and look for Paul Erubami. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm also on Facebook, same name. I have my own page. You can chat me up on WhatsApp on the official Max-Migold number 080-220-20122. 080-220-20122 with your questions. And I will definitely give you an answer within the same day. Until we meet again.